Hello and welcome back to the Now We Know Show, the show where we discuss a topic of interest and by the end we will have learnt something new and hopefully you will too. I'm Zak.
I'm Buzz.
And I'm Tina.
Tina's here.
Tina's in the studio.
Oh, I wonder what Tina's in for.
We're going to find out because this week we are going to discover all about Christmas carols.
If you enjoy the Now We Know Show podcast, why not support Zak Wylde Productions on our Patreon page? Become an official ZWP patron for as little as £1 a month for exclusive early access to all our latest episodes, videos, behind the scenes, updates and more. So, before we get into that, it's time for...
Oh, of course.
Word of the Week.
Word of the Week.
Word of the Week. Word of the Week. Word of the Week. Word of the Week. Word of the Week. Word of the Week. Word of the Week. So Word of the Week is all about old English words we don't use anymore. All you have to do is write down what you think it means in the comments. We will then reveal what it means at the end of the episode so you can find out if you got it right.
So, Zak, what is this week's Word of the Week?
So the word of the week this week is elf-lock.
Elf-lock?
Elf-lock.
Is it elf-lock or elf-flock?
Elf-lock.
With an L.
So it's spelt E-L-F-O-C-K. Elf-lock.
Right, so this sounds kind of festive.
Well, you'll find out at the end of the episode.
But I must admit, I don't know what elf-lock means.
No Googling, find out at the end of the
We're
episode.
going to fit it into a sentence. So in this episode, we're going to find out, as I say, about Christmas carols, history of Christmas carols. Everybody loves a Christmas carol. Why do we have Christmas carols? And we've got our special guest, Tina, in the studio.
A seasoned caroller.
A seasoned caroller, as you say, and we might get the odd rendition of her.
Ooh,
That'd be interesting, won't it?
exciting.
There you go.
Are you excited, Tina? Are you feeling the festive spirit? Are you full of mince pies and figgy pudding?
Wow.
Well, we are wearing the festive hats.
Yeah, it's the festive season.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Okay. Right, so let's look at the history of carols and where they're from. Now, I'm not a Christian myself, but I do love a Christmas carol.
Yes.
And I've loved them ever since I was a kid. And just like any other kind of music that you have from countries all around the world, you have lots of different types of music. You don't have to be a cowboy to enjoy country and western. So my point is, anybody can enjoy a traditional Christmas carol.
Yes.
I find them uplifting. They remind me of my childhood. I used to sing in the choir at school back those days. I did even go to Sunday school when I was a kid. And, I just have great memories. And a good Christmas carol kind of makes you feel...
Well, it feels Christmassy, doesn't it?
Festive.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. It kind of feels like the
uplifting.
snow. It's the snow, isn't it?
It's the snow.
Uplifting.
It paints a picture.
Christmas trees.
That's it. Village ponds.
Yeah.
All sorts of things. Frosted roads, little cottages with snow on the thatching.
Yeah, like a Christmas card.
Exactly. So there you go. It's a vocal Christmas card.
Oh, there you go. I like that. I like that.
That's good. So let's just have a look. So if you've ever wondered when Christmas carols first came about, the answer lies in kind of about the 14th century, although their evolution sort of dates back obviously further than that, even before Christianity, because as we said in the Krampus podcast, where you have those old pagan festivals, there would have been songs, chanting, stories, dances, and so all festivals will have these kind of traditional songs that would be sung at a certain festival at a certain time of year. So they go back for hundreds, if not thousands of years with, to keep people's spirits up, especially at this time of the year when we're coming into the long dark months of the year. And in certain northerly climes, you lose the sun altogether for a period of time.
Yeah, we mentioned that in the other podcast.
Exactly. So as Christianity spread across Europe and we get to the 14th century, the first carols started to be produced by the Franciscan friars, who were followers of Saint Francis of Assisi. And these kind of took the form of a dance in a circle with linked hands and everybody singing these songs. And huge numbers of Christmas carols survived from the 15th century, making it the best preserved aspect of English medieval music because they were so popular. So that's why we have such a rich history in these Christmas carols surviving, whereas other songs and things which were probably sung at other periods of the year have fallen by the wayside.
Right.
But carols have stuck with us. And it's believed that the dances associated with early carols died out as people just got bored with certain seasons of the year singing. So originally, as I say, carols weren't just associated with Christmas. They were associated with other seasons as well, but not as popular as the Christmas carols, which have survived over the centuries. So when we get to Christmas, it's a real festivity, especially going into the darkest months of the year. So Christmas carols survived where carols linked to other parts of the year generally died out.
So, Tina, what got you into singing and Christmas carols?
Well, it was actually my grandmother who got me into singing when I was about 10 or 11 years old. I had been to Sunday school and things like that previously, but I was generally interested in music. That, and also I had the most wonderful music teacher at school called Mr. Ballard.
Good old Mr. Ballard.
Good old
That's a
Mr.
good
Ballard.
name. I like that name.
And he was amazing. He was just a fantastic teacher.
It's really
through
nice
and
when
through.
a certain teacher, years later, still sticks in your mind. That just proves the point that they did their job well.
Okay.
So what did Mr. Ballard introduce you to?
Well, the funny thing was, I remember being the first year of senior school,
Okay.
and it was quite amusing actually, because when you're at junior school, you're all there in the hall and you're having a good old sing-song to the
As a
hymns.
group, yep.
As a group of people.
Did you have those big flappy kind of bits of
With-
paper that hang down?
Exactly, with the big flappy bits of paper. But
Two bits of paper?
Didn't you have those?
What are you talking about?
when I was at school, and obviously it sounds like when you were at
Yes.
school, Tina, they had like this huge pad of paper with the lyrics for the songs. So whether it was Christmas carols or hymns, they were on a bar sticking out from the wall, and we had a teacher with a rod who used to flip the sheets.
No
over.
way.
Yeah.
Was this like an assembly?
Yeah,
and
so
stuff?
Yes, absolutely.
all the kids would be in there, and you'd be looking at this massive big paper pad that just hung off the wall, and then Mr. Hedger in our case would flip.
Well, that's
the page
completely different for me. We had a projector,
All right.
and then people
Technology.
from I think it was year 4 were actually kind of like on a rota of you've got to be the projectionists.
Right, okay.
So you've got to change the sheets on the projector as they get sung, and you get told off if you haven't organised the music
Okay.
during the assembly, and if you change it at the wrong point, you get told off again. So it was actually quite mean in that
Ours was
respect.
just a giant paper pad and
But yeah,
and a wooden stick.
A bit more
Anyway,
technology.
Tina,
So,
sorry.
at this point.
so
Introduce-
as the years have gone on, it's become more and more technical then.
Yes, it has.
Yes.
But no,
So-
that,
so
that,
you
that
were
is mo-
singing
that
it-
is most interesting. I guess there must have been a teacher there at some point with a pen, a nice black pen, writing
'cause it
all
was
the
all
words.
very
all
well written.
Perfect.
Was it handwritten?
Yeah,
Oh,
handwritten,
yes.
usually in italic writing.
Oh wow.
It's probably in my case, our headmaster was. He used to take the italic writing, because did you have fountain pens back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah, so we all had to do the italic writing. Anyway, we're going off.
No,
We're
not
going slightly
quite.
off-
You had to get a pass, didn't you, to be able to be allowed to
Have
do
a-
your calligraphy
That's
with
it.
your pen. And it was really good because the pen went together in lots of different ways.
Yes, and you had proper ink, and it would smudge
That's
everywhere
it.
if you weren't careful.
But
Anyway,
anyway, the
singing.
funny thing was
We'll get to
that
it.
We'll get to it.
when you're at junior school,
Yep.
everybody's there having a good old sing song. And I remember the first assembly that I went to in senior school.
Yep.
Everybody was mumbling.
It's because
And
they're
they were
too
so
cool
quiet.
for school. At
They
that
were so
age.
quiet, and I just sort of went to
Burst
go and have a
out.
good old sing, and it's
You're the only one singing.
everybody's like mumbling.
Oh wow.
In fact, I have a theory about this, because as the years went on,
Yep.
when we got to the third year of secondary school,
Mm-hmm.
we changed headmaster,
Okay.
and then suddenly, instead of having whole lower school or upper school assemblies,
Mm-hmm.
you would just have your year assembly,
Right.
and you would get to sit on chairs rather than sitting on the floor.
On
Oh,
the
wow.
floor, yeah.
But they never then did any singing whatsoever.
All
And
right.
I always thought that was a terrible shame.
So you started singing your carols at school.
Probably not,
Did-
actually.
Okay, so you didn't
Probably-
have a
probably-
school choir that you were in then.
I was playing guitar at the time, so did I? I don't think I was in a school choir.
So
Or
when
was
did
I?
when did
I
you
might have been,
first
I can't
join
remember.
a choir to set you on the road to singing carols?
Actually, gosh, that is bringing some memories back. Actually, yes, I was in a choir. So that really is going back. I was in the choir, and I remember that we had these kind of mobile kind of classrooms.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that we had a choir in my junior school again. So at that point, I must have actually been younger than I said. I must have been younger.
Okay, so your route from then went into senior school, as you say, and then was it through senior school your love of singing in the choir carried you on, or did you start singing in a choir when you left school? Because I know from an early age you were singing in a church choir.
Yes, I'm just going to go back because you've got me thinking now. In fact, I remember my very first audition was actually to be one of the 3 shepherds in a school that I was attending for a little while with my cousin Amanda.
Was this up in Lincolnshire?
No, this was actually in Harrow.
Oh, in Harrow, right.
And I sung Bar Bar Black Sheep.
Oh, wow. Was this
that-
the audition?
This was the audition.
That very well-known choir, Christmas carol, Bar Bar Black Sheep.
It's Bar Bar Black Sheep. Gosh, that now.
Did you get through the
Wow.
audition?
Yes, I got to be a shepherd.
You got to be one of the
I got
shepherds.
to be one of the shepherds, but I never actually got to do the show because
Oh, no.
my family moved away. So.
Oh, no. Now, when I did the nativity or whatever it was, I was one of the 3 innkeepers.
You had 3 innkeepers?
Well, I can't remember. It was like innkeepers. I was an innkeeper, okay?
Yeah,
I think there were 3.
I actually do recall coming to watch you on
Yes.
stage.
Yeah.
And I remember Joseph and Mary coming and knocking on the door and asking if you had room. And you said that they could go and use the stable.
Mm.
Stable. And I remember Joseph and Mary coming to the door and asking if you had room in the inn.
Yeah.
And you said that they could use the stable. And then some money was meant to exchange hands.
Yes. They didn't follow the script, okay? They didn't follow the script.
All I recall is Joseph and Mary then trying to wander off stage with an innkeeper chasing after them, grabbing hold of Joseph,
Give me my money.
putting him in an arm lock and getting his money off and going back to the inn.
Thank you. I had my money then.
Poor old Joseph.
I remember
he
that.
works in the
Was it
petrol
Hump-
station down the road.
Hump the Camel, I think it was called.
Hump
wasn't
the
it?
Camel.
That's Hump for the Camel. That
Yeah.
was
That
later.
was
That was
Oh,
later.
that was later.
It was kind of like
Okay.
the camel looked like a sea devil.
Yes, that was
Oh,
very
right,
strange.
okay.
That was going into some of the bizarre new types of nativity plays. That
Larry the Christmas lobster.
Oh my goodness.
was. Anyway, back to the carols in this festive episode. So, Tina, you did join. I remember you telling me you joined a church choir.
I did
What
indeed.
age was that then?
I would have been 11.
11.
Mm-hmm.
And where was the church?
It was in Abbots Langley.
Oh, yes.
St. Lawrence is the Martyr.
And so, do you remember doing the carol concerts there against
Yes.
Christmas?
I used to love doing the carol.
And
The
was that
carol
were they the ones
concerts.
where on Christmas Eve you'd go there for midnight?
Yes, Midnight Mass.
Midnight Mass. Wow. Do you have any memories of that?
I used to love going to Midnight Mass. We'd have lots of candles and things like that. But there was one year where I think I was head choir girl at the time, and I had to start the whole Midnight Mass off. And I had to sit in the pitch dark. I went up to the belfry,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to sing Once in Royal David City.
Okay.
So of course you had to just
So it's just the little
Just
voice.
me, just
you.
me.
Just you.
Just
Wow.
me.
That must have been nerve-wracking.
just a bit.
What bit of an experience was that?
It was very, very, very nerve-wracking. But of course, after that, I had to obviously sing in key, and I didn't have any. I just had to do it. And do it
So
right.
when you say
Then,
singing in key, what's that?
in tune,
Okay. With everyone else? Or
No,
just
no,
by yourself?
just
So
me.
did you sing the whole song by yourself, or did the
Just
rest
the
of the
first
choir
verse.
join in?
No. The first verse is just the whole church is absolutely silent,
And just lit by
lit
candles.
with candles, not a sound, not a,
Everyone's watching you.
no, nobody was watching me because they're all facing the other way.
Oh, okay.
So I'm in the belfry.
And they're all
in
facing the
silent,
altar.
They're all facing the altar, the opposite direction.
And then this little voice,
Bursts
angelic
out.
voice,
bursts
out
out,
of the darkness.
and then in the second verse, the organ and everybody else
Also,
sings.
you were just literally singing without even the organ.
No,
Oh,
nothing
that
at all.
really does paint a picture, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's quite magical.
Yeah.
So seeing as that we did ask you into the studio to give us a rendition of some carols, what's your first carol you're going to sing us?
Well, I'm going to sing something that's not quite so upbeat, but seeing as it is such a bitterly cold day today,
At time of recording.
Yes.
at time of recording,
Yeah.
ice. I think it's -6 outside at the
Yeah, I
moment.
think the lowest temperature the UK's had is around -17 up in Scotland. And we've been having it easy at about -6 to -4 to -6 where we are. But yes, we've got thick snow outside at the moment. So which song is it you've chosen?
I'm going to sing part of In the Bleak Midwinter.
Superb. Okay, over to you.
In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow. In the bleak midwinter, long ago.
Wow, that was fantastic.
That painted the picture perfectly, didn't it?
Yeah, a nice snowy day,
Yeah, cold,
winter weather.
winter weather, dark, frosty. Superb, Tina. Thank you very much for that. So, there you are singing in the choir, in the belfry, as you said. And at what sort of age were you doing this?
When I sung that, I think I was probably about 14. I remember I was meant to sing it the year before. However, we had a fantastic choir master, and his son's voice was just starting to break. So he sung it when
Right.
I was meant to be singing it,
Just to get in there quickly.
to get in there before he lost the opportunity.
Oh, bless him. And then he said he went all baritone, did he?
Well, I can't remember actually.
I don't know. What do you have? Actually, there's a good thing. I'm not a singer myself, so what do you? I mentioned the word baritone. So what type of levels of singing do you have in a choir?
Well, you have sopranos,
Okay,
which
that's
they-
right at the top.
they're
Yeah.
the ones who sing the
high
higher
notes.
Just to
part.
clarify, we're not talking about bats again, are we?
What do you mean?
Soprano.
Oh,
Yeah, but
soprano.
sure.
There's always a bat connection. We've already had the belfry.
Oh, bats in the belfry.
That's it. Sopranos in the belfry.
So,
Yeah.
so soprano sings the highest
notes.
part. However, sometimes you might have a second soprano part,
Okay.
which, if you think all of the sounds
hmm
when people say a word go together and they form a chord.
Okay.
So if you think that typically a chord is made out of at least 3 notes,
Yep.
you would have a soprano would be singing the higher note.
Okay.
Then usually an alto would be singing
Okay.
the one below. Then you would have your tenors, which would be singing the one below that. And then you'd have your basses. So they're the
Where
typical
does
4.
the baritone come? I said the word baritone. Is that not associated? Have I got that wrong?
Well, it's
Is somebody a baritone?
bass. Well, it is
Is
a
it?
baritone.
Baritone is bass. Got
Yes,
it.
it's
Right,
just
okay.
another word for
A
bass.
Okay. So you've painted this picture of the first time that you were up there singing in the belfry.
Mm-hmm.
What other memories do you have? You know, magical memories of the Christmas time, of around that, being in the church. Or did you go out carol singing at all? Did you did the choir go from the church and go to other places to sing carols?
I don't specifically recall doing carol singing at that time with the church, but I did have some fabulous visits. I got to sing in St Albans Abbey, which was rather nice.
That must have been because that's where you had your graduation.
Oh, yeah.
When you graduated and given your
That was my graduation, not Tina's.
not Tina's
Yes.
graduation.
Because you were pointing at me.
Yeah, it doesn't really work on audio. Though.
No, it doesn't.
That's right. So we've been to St Albans Abbey, so that must have been a magical experience.
And also there was a reopening. I remember we all went on a coach trip to reopen. I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been Ely Cathedral, but it was certainly somewhere over Norfolk Way, and it was a cathedral, and I must admit.
That brings up a memory. We did the Christmas light switch on, didn't we?
Oh golly, we did, didn't we?
We did.
Oh,
We
that was you.
did.
That was
What
you.
were
and
you dressed-
Jack, who's
yeah.
not here tonight.
Yeah, he was a Dalek.
He was Dalek.
I was dressed as the 11th Doctor.
And
Tina?
you were unit soldier.
I was a unit soldier.
Yes, you had a little stick.
That's
I
You
it.
could point at the
indeed.
audience. I think it was like however many thousand people or something.
That's
It was
it.
at
Where
least
you
5,000.
all trundled up on stage, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I think the mayor switched the lights on.
Yeah, it was for the Ely light switch on,
That's
and he was like just pointing a microphone in your face.
That's it. Say something.
Say something to this massive audience.
It was even funnier when, unfortunately, I couldn't make it. So
Because it was completely unscripted.
That was
I
slightly
only
nerve-wracking, I must
saw a
admit.
bit of that on the news bulletin when it came out. But I remember you describing that Jack, the Dalek, was
Yeah.
put on the spot as well because obviously he had the Dalek voice box.
Yeah,
So
the modulator
He was having to speak as a Dalek to 2,000 people just
on a stage.
On a stage, just
stage.
off the cuff.
Yeah, well, I think he said something like, Daleks have no concept of Christmas. Exterminate or
Brilliant.
something like that.
Oh,
That was hilarious.
Oh,
Hilarious.
that was the Dalek was so delicate though, and we had to go up a ramp.
Yeah, we had to push. We had
Had
to push him up the
we,
ramp.
we had quite a intricate layout of scaffolding with ramping to push these Daleks up. And if you just sort of like touch the edge of the Dalek, it was
Very fragile.
very,
Some
very
of them were very
fragile.
fragile. Yeah, they were actually BBC Daleks, weren't they?
They were.
Classic
Yes.
Daleks.
Yes, talking about that, it was actually shown on the BBC, which
There
was
you
quite
go.
cool. Revisiting it, there's me with my hands in the air, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yay!
Wow, you-
Fireballs, everything.
You're working your way around the cathedrals now. So,
actually I've been in Ely Cathedral before, haven't I?
oh yes, you
Oh
filmed
man, that was okay. So I don't know who's listening, but that was torturous.
Oh dear.
there. Oh dear. What other
We were
memory is
doing-
Ely Cathedral giving you now?
Well, we did a scene from Macbeth where the ghost is appearing at the banquet,
Oh yes.
and there were quite a few of us there, and we literally had to be in absolute silence
In a cathedral, that's going to be difficult.
for 20 minutes for each take, and we did it again
20 minutes.
and again.
Silence.
Ouch. What was
Yeah.
happening at the time?
A ghost was appearing.
Which version of Macbeth was this?
I've no idea.
Was it the one with Michael Fassbender?
Yes,
Okay.
Oh yeah.
it's the one that I
I
did
recall. I
on that
worked on it as
common.
well.
Was it Hankley Common? I can't remember where we filmed it now.
Anyway,
Anyway, we're
Mind you,
diversifying.
now that's a nice Christmas memory. Oh man, that was freezing. I mean, absolute freezing. When we did that filming, we had 11 layers of clothing on, including plastic bags.
and you're saying this is a good Christmas memory?
Well, yes, because I recall that I was in the camper
Yep.
nearby,
Mhm.
and we were doing split days. So we were starting filming at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, but then we were finishing at 2 or 3 in the morning. But what that meant was the following day there was nobody there when I was waking up in the morning. So I'm in the middle of nowhere,
Uh-huh.
all on my own,
Yep.
but feeling completely safe. And on one morning, I was sitting there, nice and comfortable, cappuccino in hand, thinking this is the life. And a whole herd of deer came
Just-
around the camper,
just
and I
walked
was
around
like
the camper.
right next to these deer, antlers and all. And this
Oh,
was
wow.
like January, February time.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
That's great.
I mean, it was proper cold. Oh, mind you,
Were they
another-
scary or were they nice deer?
well, they were big deer. They were big deer.
Didn't want to
My-
mess with them.
Mind you, that brings back another memory. It was so windy on that shoot on one particular night that the tent, the marquee, it took off.
Oh
In
dear.
fact, I went there on different days for filming, and yeah, the one end of a marquee was destroyed.
Oh dear.
So we
dear.
actually got evacuated from site.
And this was a good memory.
That's a good
Well,
one.
no,
Or was
no,
that
well,
the deer?
And oh my gosh, I am bringing some memories up. So I think on another occasion we went back. We were in one of those cargo sort of those buildings. What are those buildings that are metal and square and ugly looking? and you store things in.
A storage container.
That's it, storage container. We're in one of those, and we all ended up having to sing songs, so that was quite good.
Oh, there you go.
Back
So
to
that
the
was a
singing
nice
then.
Back to the singing.
That brought us round back to the singing.
Yes.
And talking about singing, you're going to sing us another carol. So
I think perhaps the Bleak Winter would have been more appropriate for that, actually.
so what is our second carol you're going to sing us, Tina?
I think we shall be a little bit more cheery, and we shall sing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen.
It's good for me.
Go on, take it away.
God rest you merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay, for Jesus Christ our Saviour was born upon this day, to save us all from Satan's power when we were gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. From God our Heavenly Father a blessed angel came, and unto certain shepherds brought tidings of the same, how that in Bethlehem was born the Son of God by name. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy.
Hey, round of applause there.
Huzzah. Encore. Can I say encore?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay.
We're going to get another song in a minute anyway, so
Yes.
that's good. So, brilliant. So we've brought you into the passion for singing carols, and after you were at, which was the name of the church?
St. Lawrence's.
St. Lawrence's. How long were you there singing for St. Lawrence's?
Well, I don't know how things are now, but back in the day, it was kind of an unwritten rule that as a female, you had to leave the choir at 16.
Oh dear.
dear.
So you actually had to leave the choir then?
Yes.
Against, I mean, obviously you wanted to stay.
I think the thing is, it was so kind of subliminally put out there that I think when I did come to leave, I had other distractions.
Okay.
But I don't feel that it would have been welcome.
They can't still be doing
Well,
that today.
I'm sure they don't do that now, but at the time, it would have been deemed that a lady's voice wouldn't have been...
Wouldn't have worked with what they were looking for.
Exactly.
That's very outdated.
That's outdated. But there you go. That's back in the day.
This
Not
was
saying that
in
you're
the-
old, Tina, by the way.
This was in the 80s.
Back in the
Okay.
80s, there you go.
So this isn't now, and I'm sure it's very different now. But at the time, it just wasn't the thing that the ladies, if as a guy,
Yep.
as a chap, you could start as a soprano and, as your voice broke, become an alto and then maybe end up being a tenor or a baritone. But as a lady, it was, you kind of had to go.
So when you left, where did that lead you?
To go out on the town.
I meant singing. Singing-wise, did you give up singing or did you continue in some other
Did you find
form?
another choir somewhere?
Well, I think at the time I was actually doing some exams in singing for a time, at least at a.
So a heavily qualified singer in the room right now.
Oh,
Well, I'm very, very out of practice, I have to say.
Well, you're sounding good to us so far.
But no, at that time I think I had been contemplating being an opera singer.
Oh, yes. And I must attest that I have seen you on stage singing.
Oh, that reminds me. That's what I did. I went off and did. I did continue with singing.
Yes, because you went into amateur dramatics,
I
didn't
went
you?
into amateur dramatics,
That's it.
and
Do you want to tell us about that?
It was good fun, mostly.
Oh, that sounds like there's a story to be told there.
Maybe on another occasion, I reckon. But yeah, you did a lot of stage singing, and I remember seeing you on stage. And I know you had a passion for opera, and but you did, if I'm right, you actually joined a choir at a Seventh-day Adventist church.
I did indeed, and that was the best fun.
That was the best fun.
Yeah?
There you
Truly
go.
was.
And I had the pleasure to actually attend some of the choir practice. I didn't sing myself. No, I just sat in the. Didn't they have a room to one side that had like glass in it?
An observation room.
Well, it got,
don't
unless,
remember that.
yeah. I think I'm right in saying that there was a room to the side that had a panel of glass in, and I assumed that this room was for them to take the noisy children into, so the children couldn't be heard.
Golly, perhaps.
So I used to
yes.
hide in the
didn't know
in
that.
case the choir mistress, who's called Hazel,
Lovely lady.
lovely lady, but I was terrified that she'd come and grab me by the collar and force me to go to sing.
Duck and cover, eh?
Stuck up, so I'm going in the quiet room. but they were good times, and I remember you
They
singing.
were good times. They
some-
were the best. I think the thing is, I'm not going to get into religion or anything like that, but I think that the sort of the Church of England church that I went to is probably quite a formal, high,
Yep.
kind of religious place to be.
Yep.
Whereas
The Seventh-day Adventist.
Seventh-day Adventist church, so much more fun,
More easygoing.
easygoing, welcoming people. We had a happy, jolly, fun time. We always did fun things
Mm-hmm.
and
sung
had
some
a
very-
wonderful time at Christmas.
And I always used to come and, as I say, enjoy listening to both the rehearsals and having the pleasure of coming to listen to the actual concerts themselves, which brings us on to an opportunity for you to sing another carol. What are we going to get next?
Well, I think when we're talking about the church that I went to, the SDA church, I remember we spent a lot of time, whether it's correct or not, I don't know, but working out the dialect, the correct pronunciation for Silent Night, but in German.
Ah, right. So you're going to give us a
little bit of German.
Silent Night.
Apologies if I
If the
haven't got
Mispronounce.
if I haven't got it quite right.
But, well, let's go. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Take it away.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round yon virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild, sleep in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, Gott es sah, oh wie laut, nu das traute hochheilige Paar. Einzeln schläft in lockigen Haar, schläft in himmlischer Ruhe, schläft in himmlischer Ruhe.
Wow, yeah,
That was
another
great.
round of applause
Huzzah.
there. Huzzah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. So, obviously you enjoyed singing with the Seventh-day Adventists, and how long were you with that choir?
Quite a while, actually. I think until until you were born.
So that was
Me?
the late 90s.
Oh dear. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's all my fault you left.
No, that's
no.
another story.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. So, Zak, we haven't come over to you yet. What kind of wonderful Christmas memories do you have?
Well, when it comes to singing, I can only really think of singing at school as
Yep.
a little kid. But most of the time, I don't know, just general Christmas fun times.
So
Is that a thing?
Do you have kind of, when you hear a Christmas carol, are there any carols that sort of...
Well, when I listen to Christmas carols and things, I always think of A Christmas Carol, because that's Scrooge,
Uh-huh.
the musical version of A
The
Christmas
musical
Carol
version,
with
yeah.
Albert Finney, and
Yeah, that is a superb film.
we watch that pretty much
Yeah,
every year.
it's not Christmas or Winterfest, as I like to call it, without watching that movie.
Yeah, that's
Because
pretty much all I think about.
it's got such fun, uplifting songs in it.
Yeah,
There's a particular scene
Yep.
where they are using the bells. The
Campanologists.
ding 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 ding
Campanology.
ding. I think I can recall the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that paints to me just this wonderful, happy, jolly Victorian Christmas.
Yep.
With that wonderful part in that
When all
movie
the bell ringing
where
is
all
going
the
on.
bell ringing is going, the campanology,
I
and they're
could-
all so jolly and
Well, they're doing
happy.
some fantastic dancing with that as well, aren't they?
Exactly. And to me, that particular bit really makes me think of a wonderful Victorian Christmas where you might have had the people
That sort of
skating on the River Thames.
chocolate box Christmas card kind of Christmas.
Well, I can tell by the
Absolutely.
expressions on your faces you really like it.
Yeah.
No, that
I think
particular bit.
that's tweaked a memory and a feeling there.
So with that in mind, that particular
Yep.
bit in that movie always makes me think of the song "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen."
We are really into the Christmas spirit in here now.
Yeah.
I can hear those bells.
It's almost like it's some kind of ancient Victorian Christmas party.
Already, yeah. I want to go and play the minister's cat.
Anyone got a cheese board?
Exactly. Where's the port?
Maybe that's the
Ooh.
topic for another podcast.
Yeah, exactly. So, after you were singing with the Seventh-day Adventists, did you continue with your singing?
Well, I think around that time we went to a fabulous wedding, if you remember, on Christmas Eve.
Ah, yes, I do now you bring it up. That's probably one of the most magical moments that I recall sharing that Christmas feeling with you and being as your husband, watching you perform. And it was the most magical of moments, I must admit. Do you want to tell us all about that?
Well, I have to say I had never sung with a microphone before then,
Uh-huh.
so I was a little bit nervous. But I think I had a little practice run before the wedding, and my voice carried fine in the church when there was nobody there.
Yeah.
But of course, as soon as you suddenly get clothing in the room,
All the bodies.
all the bodies in the room,
they just
all the sound suddenly
gets
gets
absorbed.
absorbed by all the clothing.
Mhm.
And particularly at that time of year being
Maybe you say that time of the
Christmas.
year. Yeah, maybe we should paint the picture. It was actually a family wedding. Your cousin,
Yep.
cousin Amanda, marrying Martin, and they decided to get married on Christmas Eve.
Exactly.
You know, and that was it's probably the best wedding I've ever attended. Not meaning to downplay anybody else's weddings that I've been to, but it was just the fact that it was Christmas, and we arrived at the church, and it was a lovely, quaint little church in Lincolnshire, wasn't it? And when you entered the church, of course, being Christmas, it was all festooned with holly and wreaths and candles. It was, you can imagine going into a church just on any other day of the year, but Christmas, it was just already.
It was like medievally Christmas.
Was it snowing?
It was very cold, I recall, but I don't recall snow. But it was, and then when we entered, they were handing out mince pies.
Oh, wow.
Which
Okay.
was fantastic.
Yeah, and they had a traditional old chimney sweep there, a bit like Mary Poppins Victorian chimney sweep, which is meant to be good luck for the bride and groom. And of course the whole place was just Christmas.
It was Christmas.
It was just Christmas, and the
Personified Christmas.
and which part of the ceremony were you singing? Were you singing it after or
I
before?
can't remember. I would imagine it probably would have been whilst the registers were being signed.
Yeah, so you'd had the bride and groom had come into the church, and obviously gone through the ceremony,
Exchanged their vows.
at the altar, but and that was the other thing, because Amanda, the bride, you imagine most brides having a white dress, which she did, but because it was Christmas, she had a huge
Cloak.
forest green trimmed cloak.
Trailing behind.
It was just like,
Oh, it's wonderful.
You know, it was the most amazing add-on to a wedding outfit. Having this guy with the hood and everything, and that's right. And then when they went off to sign the register, that was your moment.
It was indeed.
And I was so proud of her singing away.
Aww.
And what did you sing?
One of the songs I sung was The Holly and the Ivy, which I shall sing for you now.
Ooh, excellent, most excellent.
Off you go.
The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, of all the trees that are in the wood, the holly bears the crown. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir. The holly bears a berry as red as any blood, and Mary bore sweet Jesus Christ to do poor sinners good. Oh, the rising of the sun and the running of the deer, the playing of the merry organ, sweet singing in the choir.
Way, well, that has really finished us on a high. Oh, feeling so Christmassy now.
Well, we are close to Christmas.
I want to just attack a big box of crackers and tell jokes. It's great. So that's it. It's been fantastic. I think we've just got to round off with Word of the Week, haven't we?
Yeah, got word of the week, haven't we?
I don't think
Wait,
you're
what?
going to get away with it that easily, boys.
Okay. What do you mean?
What do you mean?
Well, you've got me in quite a nice happy Christmas spirit now. So I think I would like to remember my choir days by having you two join in with a little "We wish you a Merry Christmas" to
She
all
wants
your
us to
listeners.
sing.
Oh dear.
Oh, yes.
We don't sing.
I'm sure you can.
We're taking over the podcast.
What's going on? It's all going wrong.
Well, you've
Okay.
got a choice.
So what
you
are we
can
gonna
either
sing?
sing the 12 Days of Christmas,
We'll still be here at Christmas.
Yeah.
or
Maybe.
New Year for that matter.
I'm not even sure I know the words.
It's always 12
How about
somethings and
we
others.
wish you a Merry Christmas?
What do you reckon, Zach?
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, you're in charge, choir mistress. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Here we go.
We
Wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
La 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 la.
I don't know what we do on that bit, but there! Yay!
Hey, we had a sing song.
Did that make you feel better, Tina?
Yes,
The boys got involved.
the boys are back in town.
Okay. Hey, so that just leaves us with
Word of the week. So the word of the week this week was elflock. What do we think elflock means?
Right, it sounds like some kind of all-in wrestling move used at the North Pole, you know. He's got him in a suplex. Now, no, he's switched to an elf lock.
Tina?
And there I was thinking something a lot more straightforward, like some sort of big chest that you need to have magical
Like a sort of chest.
words,
When
A big chest.
When you keep elves in.
magical words that the elf has got words that he's put an elf lock on the chest so you can't get the presents out.
Sounds like something from Empire.
Crikey, you really thought about that, haven't you?
Yeah, you should go to Empire.
So, elflock is a sweet word for describing hair that is tangled as if it is matted by elves.
Oh, right. So if you've got a little curl of hair which has been sort of tangled together,
Yes.
it's an elf.
It's an elflock.
Like a little curl, like
Yes, it's where your hair's all twiddled together and the elves have been overnight and matted your hair together.
So well done if you got that right in the comments.
Well, I'll be amazed if anybody got that right. But there you go.
I thought it was probably the most easiest of the word of the weeks we've had so far.
Well, it's certainly very topical. Christmassy.
Yeah.
it's like that little rhyme. There was a little girl who had a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. But when she was good, she was very, very good. And when she was bad, she was horrid.
All right. Maybe the elves had twiddled her hair up. Who knows?
Okay.
Elf lock!
So, Tina, we've enjoyed having you in the studio today.
Yes, thank you
Has
so
it been
much.
a fun experience?
Thank you so much for coming in and
It
singing.
has. It's brought back a lot of memories that I forgot I even had.
Okay, big question. Would you come back?
Yes.
To do what? Any ideas?
I will talk to you about another subject that I'm interested in, and I think that I could give your viewers some valuable insight.
Ooh, I wonder into what?
Cats.
Cats.
Ooh.
All sorts of things about behaviour, possible tips about attending to medical conditions, about feline behaviour.
Oh, wow. Don't give too much away, so I think this is a topic that we'll have to explore in the new year.
2023.
Wow, that feels so far away and yet so close.
Yeah,
Oh dear,
that's
slightly
right.
scary.
There we go.
Just a little.
If you want to give your cats a treat at Christmas, get them some catnip, super strong catnip.
Super strong catnip.
Yes, it.
Yes.
And
You
then-
don't need to spend lots of money
We have
on fancy
many
toys.
stories about catnip in our house.
Yes, it.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe to this channel and comment below any suggestions of topics or activities you'd like to listen to in future episodes. You can find the Now We Know Show podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music and Apple Podcasts. Check out the Zak Wylde Productions social media pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, or visit the Zak Wylde Productions website at www.zakwyldeproductions.com. Please get in contact, we'd love to find out how you're listening to us. So get in touch in the comments and don't forget to check out Zak Wylde Productions on Patreon to become an official ZWP patron today. That's a big musical goodbye from Zak.
And 5 gold rings. Goodbye from Buzz.
And we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Tina.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, listeners.
Merry
We'll
Christmas,
see you
everybody.
soon.
Merry
Bye,
Christmas.
Merry
Have a good one.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas!